Hey guys, Preston here. Welcome back to another video. Today we are doing the Notre Dame versus North Carolina post-game recap and reaction. Rocking the Kelly Green book jersey. I think this also counts as a... Let me check, actually. Yep, it also counts as a DJ Brown jersey. So shout out to Notre Dame safety DJ Brown, who filled in admirably for Kyle Hamilton. We'll talk about that in this video. Of course, we're going to kind of take it game by game and talk about what kind of happened. First off, though, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more content Notre Dame and sports related in general. It would mean a lot to me. I really appreciate it. And click the bell so you can stay notified anytime I make an upload such as this one. Also, real quick, just want to thank you guys for the support for the last video. The preview for the Notre Dame North Carolina game did incredibly well. 270 views so far from what I can see. You got my channel pulled up in front of me, so thanks once again. I really appreciate that. But yeah, thank you so much. Again, just please like this video. Make sure to subscribe. It'd mean a lot. Either way, let's get into it. So, 31-17 Irish win against the UNC Tar Heels. This was a home game for North Carolina. People kept calling it a trap game. Oh, trap game, trap game. It's got trap written all over it. That's what half these places said. They were wrong. They kind of hate on us. They say almost every game we have is a trap game, you know, and that's okay. That happens. Needless to say, we didn't fall for the trap. We did at first, if I'm being honest. This is another game you would call a tale of two halves. The game was actually tied at halftime before we decided to put it away at the end of regulation. It took a little bit. I'm gonna be honest. Wasn't all inspiring or anything, but we did what we had to, and it was really good to see, you know. By the way, Ohio State just had their game canceled too, which we'll see if that does anything for playoff implications. But really, all we have to worry about is winning. If we win out and win the ACC title game, we have to worry about nothing. If we win out and lose the ACC title game in a close one, we have to worry, but we could be in still. The only thing we can't do is lose to Syracuse or Wake Forest or get blown out. Sorry, guys, had to go grab something from outside the house. Oh, I just realized before this point I didn't have a hat on. I do now. It's whatever. It's still Irish, so it counts, you know. It's a little cold out. Figured I'd have to have at least something, you know. Either way, back to the game. Like I said, the first half wasn't fantastic, especially defensively. We're getting the ball moving on offense. After that first drive, we didn't score. I was still nervous most of this game. That's kind of how it works. But we did good. We did a lot of stuff good. There's still some bad stuff we'll talk about, and we'll kind of get through that here. Let's just see what we can kind of really get to. Let's get the negatives out of the way first. That's what I normally like to do. If we're looking for some holes in this offense, if we're talking negatives, I think it was a streak broken that we didn't score our first drive of the game. That's not a huge deal, though, because that happens. I mean, I expect that to happen eventually, and we did pick it up and get some points done. But there was stretches where this offense was really disappointing. We still put the game away. We won 31-17, but there was multiple times in that second half where, well, just a sneak peek for one of the pros, our defense didn't give up any points. 0 points allowed in the second half, but our offense was not capitalizing on it. We scored 14 in those two quarters, 1 touchdown each, and we didn't, you know, we stopped North Carolina every time they touched the ball, but we also couldn't get the ball moving enough. This game honestly could have been a blowout if our offense really wasn't lacking in places. Zeke Correll, the center who had to fill in for Jarrett Patterson, I don't want to be too hard on the kid, but man, he had a bad, I don't know if you want to say horrible, he had a bad day. It wasn't good. I mean, maybe decent. He had some moments. He blocked pretty well. But the dude, if you watched the game, he had at least 4 bad snaps, most of them low, one or two high. Luckily, Ian Book's a beast and made the most out of those plays, but hopefully that's something that just gets fixed with time. You know, obviously this was his first career start. The kid's talent, I mean, he's a high-profile recruit for a reason. Ohio State wanted him too. He's a number 3 center in his class, and, you know, he's just got to get going. He's got to build some sort of connection because what we saw today was unacceptable. We can't be putting the snaps on the floor like that. We got lucky this game that none of those resulted in turnovers. And it's just, you don't want to see bad snaps. That's an awful thing for an offense to have to deal with. Like I said, luckily Book overcame it, and hopefully it just gets fixed out with repetition. So let's just hope that happens and Corral continues to grow. This is where Jeff Quinn, the offensive line coach, and the rest of his offensive line teammates have to help him out with that. Josh Lugg did decent on the outside. Book did get sacked twice. I thought the O-line wasn't particularly impressive all game. Kyron Williams still got his yards because the dude's a beast, but I didn't think the blocking was as good as it's been in the past. There was a lot of times where it felt like Williams was running right into a swarm of North Carolina defenders. Now, that might not be on the O-line. That might be on Tommy Rees for continuing to call these running plays going straight into the stacked box that North Carolina was giving us a lot of the time. But, like I said, these are just... You can chalk that up to nitpick because Kyron still finished with 124 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. So, that kid's a beast still. Everyone knows it. LeBron James shouted him out if you care about that. I'm a basketball player. But just, even if you don't like him, it's nice to see that a kid like Kyron Williams is starting to get some national recognition and attention because he definitely deserves it. He's a beast. Outplayed both Tar Heel running backs. In fact, yeah, he finished with more rushing yards than North Carolina had total. So shout out Kyron. Quit disrespecting the boy, all right? He outplayed ETN in the game in their head-to-head matchup. He outplayed both North Carolina running backs in the head-to-head matchup. Dude outplays everybody. Can't be stopped. There was a lot of plays. Like I said, the blocking wasn't always fantastic, but he would make plays that should have been for no gain or a loss go for like at least 2-3 yards. And that's kind of what he does. I mean, the kid doesn't want to go. He fights for those yards, and he does a freaking good, amazing job. So shout out Kyron Williams. Just in general, dude's a beast. Receiving-wise, this is where some of the issues were coming with this offense. I talked about it being kind of stagnant throughout points of this game, where we really could have put the game away sooner than we did. We still did, and we scored 31. Not bad at all. But against this North Carolina defense, we probably could have done more. If we were able to put 40-something on Clemson, granted with overtime, but still, this North Carolina defense is not good at all. Their DBs did step up for him, so shout out to them, I guess, for that. Our wide receiver room, it felt a bit, I'm not going to lie, there was points in this game I felt like I was watching week 1 all over again, where Book had to make a lot of plays happen on his own with his feet, scrambling. That crazy toss play he did, the Michael Meyer beast move right there, that was a dangerous pass. I would almost crap myself when he threw that, but it came down into Meyer's hands. It was beautiful. Shout out to him for getting that done. But the reality is, like I said, Book had to do a bit too much today. It's nice to know he can do it, but we want to see these wide receivers get back to what they were the last 2 games, where Book was finding them open a lot of the time, and they were driving pretty effectively. It seemed like these guys got locked down today, which you don't want to see. Minus one guy who we'll talk about, because he straight beasted, and we probably should have given him the ball a little more. 2 guys, I guess. Yeah, 2. But just in advance, Ben Skronik, and Avery Davis both had very quiet games for their standards, at least the way they've played the last 2 games. Skronik coming off his 3-touchdown performance against Boston College, and Davis also doing very well, being kind of almost one of the heroes of that Clemson game. He only had 1 catch for 5 yards on 2 targets. Not great at all. Wasn't getting open, or Book wasn't finding him. Same with Bennett. Bennett had 5 targets and only caught 3 of them for 34 yards, so not much of that deep jump ball guy we're kind of used to. Didn't do much in the air. In fact, there was only 1 receiving touchdown this whole game, and it was to the running back on a crazy play off one of those bad snaps I was talking about. Book rolled all the way out, avoiding the defenders, tossed it to Williams, and Williams ran it in. So Book played amazing today. I mean, shout out Ian Book. The dude should get, if you ask me, that man needs to be at least somewhat considered in these Heisman talks. He's turned it on big time these last 3-4 games, and I think he's proven a lot of people wrong. So shout out to Ian for that, man. If we're just looking at stats now, we're still on the negatives. See, this is what I mean. You guys might think I'm crazy or something, but I have to nitpick. It's what I do. I care about this team enough that I can see the weak points, and I know what this team's capable of and what we're kind of destined for. This team can win a national championship, but they got to clean some of the stuff up I'm talking about if they want that to happen. And the other option was the fact Jonathan Doerr's kicks, none of them were pretty today at all. They were all wobbly and a lot of close makes, which almost misses aren't great, but they still made it, so I won't complain too much about that. But he missed a 32-yard field goal that would have put us up 10 instead of the 1 score. Gave me a lot more comfort into that half game, in the second half. But Didn't happen. Shanked a 32-yarder. It wasn't blocked or anything, so that's not what you want to see at all from a pretty reliable kicker. I mean, I still got a lot of respect for that kid. He's a big reason we won that Clemson game. Dude scored like 5-6 field goals that game. But today, he missed a 32-yarder, and hopefully it's just, I don't know, bye week rest or something, and just got to shake it off. Got to make some next game. Hopefully we don't have to settle for a lot of field goals next game. We'll get to my preview, but Syracuse is not a good team. And hopefully we can get some backups in and stuff like that. But I don't want to jinx us, and we'll talk about that game in the preview. But yeah, Dorr missed a kick. Hit all of his extra points, though, at least. So, good job. He got just... I just don't want it to like wear on him or anything, and don't start a pattern. Hopefully it's a one-off, But obviously you got to bring it up. That's a bad miss. Especially 32 yards is nothing for a kicker. For me, it's something. Okay, calm down. It's nothing for a kicker, and he definitely should have made it. Punt returns and kick returns, kind of just nothing. Field position, North Carolina's punter pinned us deep a lot. Salerno can't return punts at all. He can catch. I'm not trying to hate guys, but he's a walk-on. He's not very athletic. He can catch it, and that's why he's back there. It's kind of what the Steelers used to do with Ryan Switzer. Like, he won't fumble it, so that's why he's there. But now when the Steelers get Ray McCloud, guess what? We get good field position. I think eventually someone's got to take that punt return spot back. Maybe they'll trust Keys again. Obviously, I think they trusted Kevin Austin, but unfortunately he's out for the year with that foot injury. So maybe we have to wait till next year to get a true threat at punt returner. But Salerno's doing his job. He's holding on to the ball, so I'll give him credit for that. Tyree, he didn't even really get a chance on kick return, so I can't comment too much on that. Like I said, their kickers, the North Carolina, shout out to their kickers, bro. That punter is bombing it every time, and they're always touchbacks like every time, too, for Tyree. Defensively, this is where we have some fun. Okay, so that's done with the nitpicks. Let's talk about what we did well now. Okay, I got all my negative energy out of the way. We talked about some of the bad stuff. So then you can get the call me a fake fan and stuff out of the way. Oh, no, we're not done. I'm sorry, I forgot to bring up our least valuable player of the week. Oh, that's mean. I'm sorry, I don't want to be mean, because all these kids, they work their butts off every week, and I respect the heck out of them. They're on the team I love, so, I got to give credit to all of them. And I'd definitely be nice to all of them in person. But Tariq Bracy has got to play better, man. He just has to. He's too good to be playing like this. I mean, he got valuable reps last season for us. I believe he was our number 2 corner last year. And this year has been not good. He's a junior, 5'10", which that kind of is towards his disadvantage. But like last year, it'd help if they freaking show all the stats I want to see. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to look at some of his career stuff going on here. So he's never had a pick in his career. Last year, he finished the year with 34 tackles, 7 pass deflections. Pretty solid season, and a forced fumble. He played a decent amount last season. He was cornerback 3, but there's a lot of college teams that run like 3-4 wide receiver sets a lot. So he got plenty of playing reps behind Troy Pride and Dante Vaughn. And this year was supposed to be his year. There was originally coming into the year before we landed Nick McCloud. There's a good chance Bracy was going to be our number 1 corner. But needless to say, he's disappointed. He quickly found himself down the depth chart again. Nick McCloud has won and earned that number 1 spot. And Clarence Lewis, the true freshman, our actually lowest rated corner from our freshman class this year, has kind of surprised everyone and played very well. He's been really good. So shout out Lewis. McCloud had a good day too. I mean, there's a couple times where both of them got beat, but neither of them got beat like Bracy did. And it's a cause for concern. I think he's finding himself buried deeper in this depth chart. He's going to have to earn trust back, because it's like the 3rd time in 3 weeks. And you don't want to be the one corner who when you look at the other team's highlights in a game, you're the one getting mossed or beat deep, because that's happened 3 times now. Bracy got punked twice today. There's the end zone touchdown fade that you probably saw on Twitter and stuff, because it was a good catch by the North Carolina receiver. But the reality is, if Bracy played that right, that would have been a pick. I mean, the dude was in his hands, and it went right through into North Carolina's. He just got beat there. There's a heighted disadvantage for Bracy too, if we're being honest, being 5'10". But you got to make that play. I think some of these other kids actually would have made that play. Lewis has an advantage with size too, being 6'1". That's what you want to see. And I think unfortunately for Bracy, It's just, it's not his year, man. I hope he can bounce back, but it's been rough for him. He got beat deep in the Clemson game as well. One of those deep balls that we got beat on a couple times in Clemson. One of them, or two of them, were against Tariq Bracy. He's been kind of getting picked on. You know, he's been identified by teams as our weak spot on the defense, and you don't want to be that guy, man. And I think we saw less and less of him after his getting beat for the second time this game, because he got beat on that touchdown. And then part of this is on Crawford, at least according to the commentators. Said Crawford was supposed to give Bracy safety off, but he didn't. But Bracy still had a one-on-one, didn't play great, and got beat deep again, right on our own, put the ball right near the end zone. Could have been a touchdown. We were really close to it. So, yeah, Bracy, unfortunately, he hasn't panned out to what he could have been this year. You hate to see it. Obviously, there's still hope he can turn it around, but he really did not play good today. He's one of our worst performing players of the game, if you're being honest. So, sucks to see, but it is what it is. Hopefully, we can turn it around with Bracy. But like I said, everyone else, McLeod's been looking pretty good, especially with his first year being in the system. Same with Lewis, technically his first year too, and for a freshman, it's even more impressive. And they both have the size advantage over Bracy as well. So now we just need to see if Bracy keeps that cornerback 3 job, or if they give it to like a Cam Hurt or someone who's relatively inexperienced, but also has that height, which helps tremendously and is just, got potential. So now we get into positives. Sorry, I had to do my little Tariq Bracy rant. I've been holding that in ever since that first touchdown pass happened. I've been a little angry towards Bracy. I'm sorry. Now let's get into the stats so we can kind of just talk about some of these stats and what went good. Like I said, Ian Book had a fantastic game. The numbers don't flash off the screen or anything. 23 of 33, 279 yards and a touchdown. No picks still. He's on some super impressive snap count without a pick or something. He hasn't thrown a pick since week 1. Keep knocking on wood because I don't want to freaking jinx it, bro. I thought the announcers were going to do that 3 times. He did get sacked once, and like I said, he dealt with a lot of pressure today from that defensive front of North Carolina, who just was doing well against this offensive line that had to plug in 2 guys on relatively short notice, and you can kind of tell that's what happened with that O-line. So I'm confident that the O-line can pick it up, like I said, but they didn't play great today. I mentioned that already. But Book made the most of that, and he made the most of these bad snaps. He got at least 5 bad snaps, and he made none of them into negatives. The dude was scrambling his butt off, avoiding blitzers, making plays, man. He looked like a true playmaker. He was like a little short Patrick Mahomes out there today, and you love to see that, man. The flip plays, just buying time with his feet and finding people open, scrambling when he can. He had 48 rushing yards. Man, I love Ian Book. I was critical of him the first couple games, as I think I was rightfully so. He wasn't playing fantastic, but also his weapons weren't with him that much either that time. I mentioned that, and now they look like they're all kind of starting to sync up a little bit, even to the point where this game, the wide receivers were off still, -1, we'll talk about, and Book still had a good day and still made stuff happen. Huge shout out to Ian Book, man. Great game by him. I don't have really anything negative to say at all, because he worked his butt off to make some of these plays today. You can tell he tried really hard. Running, I already mentioned Kyron Williams had a beastly day. Field day. He's my offensive player of the game, which is tough because I want to get Book really deserves credit too. I'm going to do co. You know what? I don't know if I've ever done that. I probably have. But this time I think it's truly deserving. You give co-offensive players of the game to Ian Book for all the crazy playmaking he did with flip passes and buying time, taking bobbled snaps and making plays of them, which a lot of quarterbacks would just fall on that ball or throw it away quickly, stuff like that. He made plays. And Williams, 3 touchdowns on the day. I mean, he scored all of our touchdowns, basically. The only other one, there's 3 rushing touchdowns, because Ben Skoranek had a reverse rushing touchdown. Shout out to Ben for that. That was a cool play. And so, that's something you love to see as well. But yeah, so of our 4 touchdowns, Williams was involved with 3 of them, so obviously he's 1A of the player of the week, but Book just did so much cool crap and, made a lot of plays that I can't not leave him. I can't not put him on the list. But Williams beasted out it again, proved he's one of the best running backs in the country, and the scary part is, guys, it's great for us. He's only a redshirt freshman. That's it. So if we don't land, I don't know if any of you guys follow recruiting, but we're in the mix for the number 2 running back recruit in the country in Donovan Edwards. If we don't land him, it's not the end of the world. And in fact, Williams and Tyree might be part of the reason why we don't land him, because some kids don't want to deal with stuff like that. I'm not hating on him. I'm not at all. So let's preface that. I get it if you want playing time, especially when you're that talented. You're number 2 running back recruit in the nation. I think it's fine if you want playing time. And Notre Dame's got 2 beast running backs already on campus, and they both have years of eligibility. I mean, Sibo Flemister didn't even play today. I completely forgot about that. He's also a beast, and he's a redshirt sophomore. So you have a redshirt freshman in Kyron Williams, straight beast, we all know this. A true freshman in Chris Tyree, also straight beast, continuing to develop, we all know this. And Sibo runs his butt off, man. He makes plays too, and he's only a redshirt sophomore. So the oldest one is a redshirt sophomore. We're going to add 2 running backs regardless this class, but if it's not Edwards, like I said, it's not the end of the world. Basically, just the future's bright at the running back position, no matter what. Running back coach Lance Taylor is doing an excellent job, and these running backs are running their butts off, man. Kyron Williams didn't even really play at all last year; just got to develop, and this is, he's the beast now. And it's just exciting to think about having him for years to come, because a lot of this under the Kelly era, it's our running back starters have been seniors. It's the truth. Like, they take years to develop, and it's always just a senior who ends up starting. They do well. I mean, obviously, I like Josh Adams and Dexter Williams, and Tony Jones is good too. But now we got a kid who we get multiple seasons with him, and it's fantastic, and he's only going to get better, and he's already a beast. So you love to see it, basically. Shout out Williams, like I said. Book at 48 yards rushing. Chris Tyree, who I mentioned, the high 4 was 5 at one point when we recruited him. Star running back, number 1 all-purpose back in his class this year. Had 2 rushes, but 16 yards, 8 per carry. Great game off 2 carries. I mean, that's pretty darn good for only 2 carries. And then the Skoranek reverse, a beautiful play with Tommy Tremble being the beast blocker still, made that play happen for Bennett as he got the run in the end zone for 13 yards. So Bennett still got on the scoreboard, just not through the air this time. Receiving, as I mentioned, Skoranek and Davis didn't really have big days, but this was McKinley's day. It was his time to ball out. We've been rotating a little bit, I guess. He's like, now it's my turn. And he made it happen. 6 targets. Caught all 6 of them, so 6 receptions on 6 targets for 135 yards. I'd have to check, but that's got to be up there. That might be the most receiving yards for someone in a game all year for us. And they were incredible plays, man. There's a deep ball, 53-yarder was the long, and there was also a play, one of those plays where Book stepped into the pocket, lobbed it up, and McKinley mossed the guy. And so both McKinley and Skoranek are both 6'4". So, as long as one of them's going, man, we have a deep threat. And McKinley proved that today. He did great when Skoranek was having just a lower day, I guess you'd call it. It's not like he played horrible, but, just wasn't his day. He wasn't getting numbers. And McKinley stepped up big for us. So shout out Javon McKinley. 135 yards and 6 receptions is a beautiful stat right there. The mayor, Michael Mayer, who I thought is fantastic in the Clemson game. Every time he's got a catch, we played the Halloween theme for, Michael Myers. I think that's awesome. We should stick with that anytime we're at home. We should do it against Syracuse, even though there's no fans, if you ask me. But 4 catches on 6 targets. He did have a drop. It went right through his hands. That would have been a big 3rd down conversion for us. But at the end of the day, we still won big, so it wasn't that big of a deal. The freshman still making plays, 54 yards on those 4 receptions. He still gets a lot of yards after the catch, and the dude's a reliable 3rd down target for the most part, and you'd love to see that. Like I said, he's a freshman. He was our 5-star from the 2020 class, and it's only up from here for this kid. Love to see it. There's a lot of stuff I love to see with this team, man. There's a lot of growth here, where there's a lot of guys who'll still be here next year. You do love to see it. Now I'm saying that too much. It's ingrained in my head. Joe Wilkins saw some playing time. I wasn't sure if someone was injured, if they were just giving him some playing time to mix it up. But he got 2 catches for 16 yards on 3 targets. Not bad at all. I believe he might have drawn a PI, unless I'm thinking of someone else. I know Bennett did at least once. He got pushed out of bounds. These North Carolina DBs hardly ever turned around to look at the ball and were super handsy. I think the refs probably could have called a bit more. But hey, that happens, right? Refs are never good, are they? They missed a lot of stuff today. But I'm not going to complain. They won. So George Tack has had a catch. You love to see that because See, I'm saying it too much. The tight end is doesn't get a lot of playing time for us, so anytime he can get on the field, it's a good thing to see. It's a nice moment. He was so close to a touchdown. He's down at the 1 yard line, so he had one catch for 13 yards. I already mentioned Davis only had one catch for 5 yards. Apparently, Lawrence, Keys, and Tremble both caught one ball for 1 yard, but Tremble had 3 targets. He's having some drop issues. It's a weird thing. Tremble, coming into the year, I viewed him more as like a receiving threat, and the reality is now he's a blocking tight end. I mean, the lion's share of these receiving yards for the tight end are going to the freshman star in Michael Mayer, and Tremble's making the most of what he can do. It's a good thing he's doing it, though, because, I mean, obviously he gets to see the field still, and where he's lacking with his receiving skills, it seems like they've regressed heavily. I don't know what's going on. I want to see that come together, because if we had 2 true receiving threat tight ends who could also block, it'd be amazing. But at the moment, Tremble's just being a beastly run blocker, and I can accept that, especially when you got Meyer playing so well. But hold on to the ball a bit more. We got to work on that. I already mentioned the kicking and punt returning. Now on defense, let's start with my defensive player of the game. Get it out of the way is Adi Ogundeji. 3 tackles, also low. 2 of them for TFLs. 2 TFLs, 3 tackles, 2 sacks. The man had 2 sacks. Only guy with double-digit sacks this game. There's a lot of half sacks. We missed tackles. I should have mentioned that in the negatives, especially the beginning when they had those 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. The first guy there was always whiffing or getting shrugged off. It was hard to bring Sam Howell down, man. Dude was playing like Ben Roethlisberger or something with just, we missed a lot of sacks, but that's what makes it even more impressive that we still finished the game with 6 sacks. And there's a lot of half sacks because, like I said, most of the time the only way we were getting them down is if there's like 4 people there, which makes it almost more impressive that we were able to get that many bodies onto Howell in order to bring him down like that. We got pressure all game when we weren't being held, and I think that was great to see. But obviously, like I said, Howell made some plays to escape the pocket, shrugged some guys off, and you don't want to see that. But 6 sacks is 6 sacks. This D-line played great. If you watch my preview, I said they'd be one of the X factors. I said I think this D-line can get some pressure going. At the end of the day, I think I said this game would probably be more of a shootout than it was, but our defense are the ones who won this for us. They stepped up big time. Like I said, shut them out in the second half, and really, outside of the first quarter, only gave up a field goal. It's a field goal in the second, 0 points in the third, 0 points in the fourth. And that's just Clarkley and his boys making adjustments and playing their butts off. Needless, not even to mention, we played the second half without Kyle Hamilton, who I don't think he meant to do it, but it was a rather unfortunate play he can't really make. He tried to whop one of the UNC receivers, got hit at the targeting call and ejected from the game. Also gave UNC a first down on a 3rd and 20. But that drive was also the last 3rd down conversion they'd have all game. So the defense really rallied around Hamilton being out, I guess you could say, or maybe just their usual adjustments that Clarkley would make. But either way, I think the fact we shut out this North Carolina team that averages 43 points per game without our best defensive back just shows it was even more impressive. It's also impressive is the fact that Hamilton only played a quarter and a half, and he was second on the team in tackles with 6. Owusu didn't get some of those regular stats you want to see, no TFLs, sacks, interceptions, pass deflections, forced fumbles, or anything like that. But he did get 9 tackles, so he was still around the ball like always, bringing people down. So even when he's quiet on the stat sheet, he'll get the tackle numbers still. It's hard. You can't keep that guy off the stat sheet, you know. He's not getting the impact plays. He's still wrapping you up. So shout out Owusu for that. Maris Lufau had his best game by far. It's nice to see that kid's also only a redshirt sophomore. Yeah, I think he's the youngest linebacker we got, getting a lot of reps. And so it's nice to see him getting worked into the rotation again, and he made the most of it this game with 5 tackles and a half a sack. He was around the ball a lot. He generated pressures. He made good plays all day. Shout out to the Hawaiian kid. You know, Hawaiian linebackers in Notre Dame go pretty well together, right, Manti Te'o? Huh? Minus the girlfriend thing. We don't talk about that. Isaiah Foskey does what he does, you know, limited in his rotational role. Still got 4 sacks at TFL. Sorry, not 4 sacks. He'd be my player of the game if he had 4 sacks. 4 tackles at TFL and a sack. He also was so close to having a blocked punt, but hey, he was there, and he's blocked a punt already this year. So shout out to Foskey he's still trying his butt off on the special teams too. Sean Crawford had struggled at times, to say the least. He missed some tackles the day he, like I mentioned, that coverage thing, I believe. From what I heard, that could be wrong, but the commentator said it, so blame them, not me. They said he was supposed to help out Bracey on that deep ball where he got burned, so obviously that would be a mistake there too. And he also missed some tackles. He's a smaller guy, and he just couldn't wrap some of these dudes up. So, just get a little bit better. Crawford's super experienced, so I expect him to be fine and just shrug it off. Drew White actually got the game ball from Brian Kelly. He had a pretty good game. If I'm going to be honest, he didn't really splash out to me, but our linebackers did play really well in that second half, and that's, part of the reason we shut them out. We really shut down that rushing attack. We have the best run defense in the country by far now. There's no contest. The North Carolina running back is the leading ACC rusher in the country, and the second running back also had like hundreds of yards. Is a two-headed monster, and we shut both of them down, held them to under 100 yards combined, and we also shut down ETN. So don't mess with us. You're not running on us, boys. All right, and that Drew White was obviously a part of that. 4 tackles, a TFL, and a half a sack. So shout out Drew White, and really the whole defense, man. I gave the game ball to Ade because he had the 2 sacks, and he got a lot of pressure today. And his story is great too, man. It shows you that hopefully it could influence some people not to transfer right away at the first time sign of adversity, because Ade was a 3-star kid, originally committed to Western Michigan, who got to us, and he didn't get really any playing time until last year. And now he's a 5th-year senior making an impact, already has a Senior Bowl invite, and will be playing on Sundays next year. So sometimes it may take longer for some guys, but we develop these kids. So don't always, some of these Facebook posts and stuff, I see some people they kind of get disappointed when we sign a 3-star. But just our roster has talented. Myron Tagovailoa, 3-star. Ade, 3-star. Ian Book's a 3-star. We get talent out of these guys. Obviously, I want 4 and 5 stars too, but I'm saying don't hate on the 3-star kids. If anything, they're more grinders. They'll work their butt off to get to their position, and you love to see it. Same with Ade. Ade's a grinder, dude, beast, and I love to see him doing what he's doing. Myron Tagovailoa had a pretty good game too. 3 tackles and a half a sack. Obviously, being in that interior defense along with Kurt Hinish with 3 tackles, they play a big role in kind of shutting up that run game, and they did that today. So shout out to them. Riley Mills, I think he's a freshman, right? He had a good game too. He ended up with a half a sack and 2 tackles. Dalen Hayes was kind of kept off the stat sheet, still finished with 2 tackles. We didn't register any pass deflections or picks, so that's not great secondary-wise. Like I said, the secondary didn't have its best game, but, Kyle Hamilton was out the second half, and Bracey got picked on a little bit, and then we'll do better, We still held North Carolina to 17 points, so you're going to hard press for me to really pick on anyone on that defense except Bracey, who got just beat twice, So that's my players of the game, guys. If we're looking more into these stats, like I said, we held North Carolina to only 211 yards passing. You'd love to see that. It's under 100 yards rushing. Mekhi Carter had 57 yards, and Williams had 28 yards on 11 carries. We held him to 2.5 yards per carry. And we got after that quarterback too, man. Lots of sacks. And Howell had to scramble a lot, but his 11 rushing attempts equaled to only 2 yards. So even when he got... So sometimes where it should have been a sack, but he or 2. We pressured him a lot. I don't have pressure stats, unfortunately. But like I said, when we sacked the guy 6 times, it's amazing to see. And so, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting some storage stuff, so I'm going to wrap this video up. I went a little long. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Great game by the Irish. Let me know what you thought about the game. Make sure to comment below. I'd love to talk with you guys. Click over here for the Notre Dame playlist. It's all my previews and post-game reaction vids. Over here, the subscribe would mean a lot. I'm trying to hit 140. And over here is just a random video of mine that YouTube recommended for you. This is Cam Preston signing out. Go Irish. I'll see you guys for the Syracuse preview.